All right, we're on, man. Hey, I'm with Brad what's up, brother? Brad Stevens. I almost thought it was Brad Roberts. Sorry, dude.
Yeah,
Brad
Celtics
Roberts.
head coach. Come on.
How's it going, man? You're a good friend of mine. We do Ironmans together, everything. So,
Oh yeah.
what's going
No,
on, brother?
it's going great. I wanted to get some hot tips for Fizbos from the king.
Well, I
So
appreciate that. First off, get yourself one of these bad boys. It's called the T Office. You just kind of put it on your desk, and then you can kind of just scroll through these bad boys and
look at
get little
that thing.
tabs, right? Gives you tab. This one's actually set up more for recruiting, just because of the tabs, but it's awesome. So anyway, that would be the first step, man. Put that away. All right, cool. So what do you want to talk about today? I mean, you reached out to me. I love Fizbos. I started my business on Fizbos. So yeah, whatever you want to talk about. We can do some role play if you want.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think for me personally, I don't have problems setting Fizbo appointments like over the phone to meet in person. I think the biggest conversion is at the appointment. But I know you have sold way more Fizbos than me in the past, so I'd love to just hear kind of the process that you go through to set the appointment over the phone, and then when you're at the appointment.
Yeah, so for me, I think one of the mistakes, I should say, I see a lot of agents making is they're setting appointments to go over and preview the house. And that's a pretty easy appointment to get for the most part. The challenge I see with that, Brad, is the fact that they think you're coming over to preview the house, and that's all you're coming over for. So if what happens, a lot of agents will go over and say they're doing that, and then get there and all of a sudden start pulling out like their marketing and trying to do like a bait and switch. And what happens is it frustrates them. They get frustrated, and now they're mad at all real estate agents, right? So my approach is more along the lines of, hey, I'd like to come over and talk to you about listing the house. And a lot of Fizbos in the beginning aren't going to be open to that. They're going to, no, I really want to do it myself. Perfect, I get that. So that's when you need to make a decision as to whether you're going to, go take a look at the house now and explain. And this is not just your decision, it's theirs as well. But a way I approach it is, okay, great, I get it. And most people I work with, for sale by owners, will start off as for sale by owners, but then down the road, a lot of times if they don't sell, they're going to use an agent. So I'll ask them, well, what's your plan B? And well, I don't know, I didn't really think about, okay, great. So I'd love to be your plan B. So if the house doesn't sell, would it be okay if I'm plan B? And they'd be like, sure, great. So I'll come over and I'll look at the house for that. I'm not coming to look at it for any buyers, because I don't even know if I have a buyer. It's not about that. It's about me coming to look at the house so that if you need a realtor, you'll know who I am, and you can hire me. So it's a completely different setup going into the listing appointment. Does that make sense?
No, that's great. Yeah, I like that because it's setting the expectation. Hey, look, listen, I'm going over there to take the listing or to take it at a future date.
Absolutely. It's not. Yeah. I'm not gonna go preview the house, because everybody's previewing the houses, right? And nobody needs previewed houses. I just personally can't waste a lot of time. So that's kind of the way I've approached it. And sometimes they're gonna be like, no, I have zero interest in that. I'm gonna sell. Great. Is it okay if I check back with you in a couple of weeks? Oh yeah, no problem. Great. What's the best email address? Sometimes they'll give you the email address. Sometimes they won't. If you can get their email address, that's great, because then you can just kind of send them listing updates, send them things that are going on in their neighborhood, right? So you're staying in front of them, and then check back in a couple of weeks, because the bottom line is we know that the majority of for sale by owners are going to last 30 to maybe 45 days before they're going to get frustrated and then hire a real estate agent. So you want to be the agent that they think about when they're ready to make that hire. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yep. So, so in the past, a lot of the Fizbos that you've been working with are more like nurtures almost, to where some of them say, hey, we're not ready yet. And at that point, you may or may not set the appointment to go over. And then it's just consistently follow up over time.
Yeah, absolutely. So for me, it's been more of a nurturing process with Fizbo. And, and it's always been like that. I mean, yeah, every once in a while you get to the anomaly. You're going to go over your list that day, right? Maybe, like you shared a story of, your story was pretty interesting how the lady did like, I forget, it was like meditation, right? Isn't there?
Yeah.
I forget the whole deal. Share, tell us your story, actually. It's interesting, right?
Yeah, no, it was. So in Project U, we've been doing spirituality stuff. And when I went to the house, she had like Buddha everywhere, you know what I mean? And so I just started telling her about my experience, going through the spiritual journey and stuff with Adam. And she was like, oh my God, like, to be honest, Brad, she says, I got texts and calls from other realtors and I didn't get back to them. And I stopped answering my phone. And for some reason I took your call. I think this was like meant to be. And so, yeah, it's never going to happen. Like that's 1 in a million, I think.
That's not something you can model, right? It's not like I can build a model off that. So,
right.
I mean, you can build a model off, following up and being persistent, going over, but the connection part through the spiritual meditation, all that stuff. Mm-hmm. That's nice. It's great that happens, and it does happen. It's just like expireds. I've called probably, I don't know, I'll say 500 expireds. And there's probably been 5 occasions where I went over in that afternoon and listed the house. The rest of them have come as a result of follow-up, or maybe they didn't come. And it's the same thing with for sale by owners. So we want to kind of get into some type of a relationship with them so that when they're ready to list, they're going to think about us. And the way we do that is by, bringing value, but at the same time, establishing some trust. Right. I heard recently, what a lot of us like to do is try to get people to, just because somebody likes you, it doesn't necessarily going to mean they're going to do business with you. Right. Because we say they need to, what is it again? Like and trust? No, it's oh God, how am I going blank? No, it's the 3 things that everybody needs in order to do business, right? Is it respect? Yep. Maybe is it respect, like, and trust?
It could be.
Okay. Anyway,
I'm out of it. Yeah, I don't know.
All right. So the thing is, people may like you, and who knows? Maybe they'll trust you, but maybe they still won't trust you in the capacity that they're going to do business with you. Right. So what you're trying to do is create a situation where they like you, and at the same time they trust that you're the best option for them to get their household and get them the most amount of money for the house.
Right. All right. So if you want, maybe let's just pretend like, you keep following up with a FSBO and then they say, all right, you know what, come over. We'll hear what you have to say. What's kind of your game plan at that point?
Well, let's just start from the beginning. So I'll call you. Okay. Ring, ring.
Okay. Oh, okay. Hey, this is Brad.
Hey, Brad. This is David Hill. I'm a local real estate agent. And I noticed you had a house for sale right in one of my coverage areas.
Yeah.
Is that your property?
Yeah, exactly. I'm selling it myself. So do you have it? If you have a buyer, we're happy to pay a commission. Okay, awesome. I really appreciate that. And I'm curious, Brad. So you said you're selling it yourself, and how long have you been at it? We've been at it for a couple weeks now. Okay. So yeah. And why did you choose to sell it yourself instead of hiring a professional realtor? To be honest, I don't see what other stuff they could do really other than just put it on, online that would add enough benefit for me to pay, thousands of dollars in commission. So that was the main reason. Okay. So it sounds to me like it's net for you. You're looking to get the most out of the sale. That's ultimately why you're selling it yourself, right? Exactly. Yep. Okay. So as a professional, if I was able to show you a way that I could net you the same amount of money, or possibly even a little bit more money, but me handling all the logistics and the marketing and everything, is that something you'd be open-minded to? Probably, yeah. I don't see how you could do that though. Okay. Well, the first step would be for me to come by and take a look at the house. So I actually have some openings. I'm going to be right in your neighborhood tomorrow at 2:00, or I'm going to be going back through there around 5 tomorrow. Which of those would work better for you? 5:00 would probably work better. Yeah.
Okay. So what's the best email address for you?
My name, Brad Stevens, at gmail.com.
Great. So I'm going to have my assistant send you a little bit of information on what we do, and it will answer some of those questions. As you said, I'm not really sure how you guys would do that, right? And then I'll plan to see you tomorrow at 5, okay? And then we'll talk about everything. So that was one scenario, right, where you gave me the appointment, obviously, right? So let's do another scenario. And now I'm going to come over to the house at 5 tomorrow. But let's say there was another scenario that you don't give it. So let's do the same thing again.
Okay. Sure.
Ring, ring.
Hi, this is Brad.
Brad, hey, this is David Hill, local real estate agent. I noticed you had a house for sale in one of my coverage areas.
I'm gonna stop you right there, David. We're not using a realtor. We're all set.
Oh, got it. Oh, I appreciate that. And how long have you guys been trying to sell?
We've been at it for a couple weeks now, and I've sold houses in the past for sale by owner before, and I know I can do it again. So
sure, absolutely. And how long ago was it when you sold the house by owner?
That one was the last time when I moved back about 10 years ago.
Okay, got it. And I'm just curious. I mean, since we're on the phone, what's important to you about selling it yourself?
Oh, well, I think I know a lot more than an agent would about my property. I'm the one to build the house, and it's just a lot of commission. So, just important to me to net the most money, basically, and make sure that every little detail's, covered to the buyer.
All right. So it sounds like for you, it's the money's the real determining factor here is why you're doing it yourself instead of hiring a realtor.
Yeah, and I want to make sure that everyone knows, how much money I put into different things like the kitchen, the living area's got a nice fireplace and stuff. So, I just want to make sure that's conveyed.
So you want to make sure you have somebody that's really, really good. If you did hire a realtor, you want someone that's good, right? That's going to pay all that. And now I'm just curious. I mean, if the house doesn't sell, what's plan B? Would you be hiring a realtor, or what's the plan B?
I didn't really give myself a time frame. I think it will sell, but if it's not sold by, say, next fall, I'll probably end up maybe considering renting it. Just depending on, what happens. I just don't want to lose the, 20 grand in commission or whatever it is, so
okay.
If it comes time where the property doesn't sell and I have to think of something else, I'll figure it out then, I guess. And
well, what if there was a way that a realtor could actually net you the same amount of money so that you weren't losing 20 grand, but you're actually maybe even gaining a little bit more money from the sale? I mean, is that something you'd be open to learning about?
I mean, I guess if you want to send me something, but I just don't see how you could do that. I price my house, I think, pretty fairly.
Sure.
So I don't want to go on the market overpriced, and have it sit and not sell. And
yeah. Well, right now what's happening is the majority of our listings, because inventory is so low, are actually selling for over asking price, and we're getting multiple offers, and it's happening on just about every property we list. So as a matter of fact, we just listed one on Franconia last week. We listed for $285. We ended up with enough offers where we're over $300,000. So that took care of the whole commission for the seller, and he still got what he wanted. So it's possible we could do that for your house. What's the main reason for the sale, Brad?
Well, so I mean, we built this house, and we're just kind of looking for a single family ranch style now. So there's no stairs and stuff, and it would be nice to find something with an in-law apartment. I guess the biggest thing would be, finding that property. So, my parents are older, and, so they can move in the in-law apartment. I can kind of take care of them a little bit. So I guess that would be the reason for the move.
Oh, wow. Okay. And when is that going to happen? When is that supposed to happen?
I mean, ideally the next year or so. But again, if the house isn't selling, then we'll have to figure something out. in
Okay.
the meantime.
All right.
So.
Well, I would like to be that plan B. That's, in the case that it doesn't work for you, I would love to apply to be plan B, where, you would, at least give us an opportunity to come in and show you what we can do to help you net the most and get you set up so that you do have your in-laws in that more comfortable living. I mean, does that sound fair?
Yeah, I mean, I think before we even do that, I was thinking about doing that flat fee MLS, because I know, a lot of agents just put on MLS and, not much else. So I know there's people out there that do like $500 thing, I can put it on MLS. And
Sure.
so I was thinking about doing that.
Okay. I mean, yeah, you can do that. But again, now, you're actually paying typically half the commission to do that, right? Did you know that?
Right. The buyer side, right?
You end up paying the buyer side. But then the biggest challenge, which a lot of for sale by owners don't really think about, is now you're actually paying the other agents to negotiate against you on your own house.
Oh, okay.
So now, and here's the thing. Now, if your house is listed at what's the price now?
We're at about like 500,000 right now.
500. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
So now you're saying, okay, because you wanted to make sure you didn't first pay any commission, but now you're saying, well, I'm willing to give up half the commission, right? And because I'll offer half to the other agents, but the challenge, they're going to be negotiating against you. So now, and the cool thing now though is if you did go that route, think about how somebody that's doing marketing your house the right way, exposing it the right way, getting enough people in there so that you can get multiple offers is easily going to be able to make up that difference in the commission. And they represent you, so you don't have to, have agents coming in that are professional negotiators, and you're paying them essentially to negotiate against you in the sale of your own house.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
No, I definitely understand that. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and listen, I mean, I don't know. Would you want me to come over and take a look at the house now? I mean, is that something you're open to? In the expectation that, you potentially hire me now, or you could hire me in the future. Is that something you're open to?
Okay. Yeah. If you want to do that, that's fine.
All right. You're supposed to say no.
Oh, no. Screw you, dude. I told you no.
Like a pushover. No, just say no. I'm all set.
Yeah. No, David. Listen, are you listening to me, buddy? I told you I don't want to hire a realtor. So.
Okay, got it. I respect that. I respect that, Brad. So is it okay? Here's what I'll do. I'll send you some information via email. If you change your mind and you're looking for some help, I'm here to help. Okay. So what's the best email address?
bradstevens@gmail.com.
Great. So I'll get you some information out. And do you mind if I check back with you maybe in, I don't know, 2-3 weeks just to see how you're doing?
Sure. That's fine.
All right. Awesome. Cool. Appreciate it.
All right. Thanks.
I'll leave it at that, right? Because what am I going to go over there for?
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense to go over there right now, right? He has no interest.
Right.
So I'll email him some information. I'll set him up on a listing, like a market snapshot or a listing alert with properties in his area. So he's going to keep getting stuff from me, and then I'll follow up in 3 weeks. And the follow-up's going to be just like, I'll call you, ring, ring.
Right. That makes sense. That's a good process. Sorry, you're so good at closing, David. I was like, man, does he want me to set the appointment?
I work a lot for my owners. And listen, it's usually a process. It usually is. So let's say 3 weeks later, I call you, ring, ring.
Hey, it's Brad.
Brad, hey, what's up, man? David Hill over at Keller Williams. Did I get you at a bad time?
No, I got a few minutes. What's going on?
Good. Good. We spoke about 3 weeks ago. I don't know. Do you remember our conversation?
I think so. Yeah.
Great. And I sent you a few emails with some information on the neighborhood, things like that. Did you get that?
Maybe. I can't remember.
Got it. Okay,
Yeah.
got it. Well, how are things going with the sale? I mean, how are things going? I know when we spoke a few weeks ago, you were pretty excited about it. How have things gone so far?
Still kind of the same. I've been getting a lot of calls from agents, and a couple people have called directly actually too, that saw the house.
Okay.
And they seem to like it. So yeah, it's going good.
All right, cool. Have you given any more thought to what we had talked about with us coming in and handling a sale for you?
I'm not ready to, have a listing agent if that's what you're asking. No.
Okay, so you're just not quite there yet.
Yeah.
All right, cool. How much longer do you think you'll go before you'd be open to that? Because I know I'm looking at my notes, and I remember you had said you needed to kind of get your in-laws into a place. You need to sell this so you can get another place and get the in-laws comfortable. So how much longer do you plan on going before you make that happen?
I think, ideally I'd like to do it sooner than later. But I'm not ready yet to part with, a nice chunk of change from the listing side commission, Yeah. We need that money in order to buy a place that suits our needs, and then, space for in-laws too, which is, I'm assuming, going to be more money than, what we bought this house for and have into it. So,
yeah. Well, why don't we do this? Because again, it sounds to me like for you, it's all about the money and making sure that you get what you need. So, if there was a way I could get you what you needed after and take over and just get this done for you quickly, would you hire us?
Yeah, I don't see the value add. Everything's online nowadays, so I don't see the value add of realtors really. I've had some realtors in the past and they don't seem like they do anything,
Sure.
Buyers are just all online nowadays too. So,
well, I have to agree that not all realtors are equal. And I think there are plenty of realtors out there that I would not hire either myself, but we're not all, we're not all the same. So what I'd like to do is, and I'm not asking you to hire me right now, but what I'd like to do is come out, take a look at the house, and share some of the things that we can do and things you may not have thought of. And if at the end you say, you know what, this makes a lot of sense, then you would consider hiring me. And if it doesn't make sense, Brad, then obviously you're even a little bit more educated as a home seller. How does that sound?
Yeah, that sounds fine. We can do that.
All right, so I'll come by. Would you have any time? I have an opening this afternoon at 3, or I could come tomorrow around 11:30.
I'm around today if you want to come by. Yeah, that works.
All right, good. I'll come by today at 3, and I'll see you then.
Okay, perfect.
Awesome. So now I set an appointment just to at least pop by and see you, right?
Yep.
So now we're gonna go to the house, and then we'll sit down and we'll talk. We'll take a look at the house, and we'll talk numbers and everything else that goes into that, right?
Yeah, no, that's great. Do you ever ask about the buying process with FSBOs? So like how I was like, I'm kind of looking for something with the in-law and stuff. Do you usually bring that up, or you kind of separate the two?
That's a really good point. You know what? When I was running my team, I probably did bring it up more because I have buyer's agents that would have helped, but it didn't even cross my mind on this call, being a role play. But yeah, I think it's definitely something you can do. I'm not opposed to that. I think for me, it's about listing, and I really want to get the appointment. So you agreed to let me come over. I think one of the biggest things with FSBOs is, especially a lot of FSBOs, believe it or not, they don't trust salespeople. And it's not so much that they don't trust salespeople, like salespeople are bad, but they know that if they let a salesperson in, that they're going to tell them something, right? Like they're scared. No, I'm serious. There are people that are like, they know they're going to get sold. So sometimes just getting the appointment and they let you in, then you can do what you need to do and ultimately get the job done, Yeah. So the fact that I'm in, and listen, I may go over there and nothing comes of it. There's a for sale by owner. It took me once a year and a half to list. It was like an $800,000 house. Yeah, he tried to sell it himself. It didn't sell. Then he ended up hiring one of his partners on a builder. He's a builder. One of his partners on a build. His wife was a realtor, so they hired his wife, and she did it for like, I don't know, maybe a year or like 8 months. It didn't sell. It expired again. Then he put his sign out again for sale by owner. As soon as his sign, I called him when it expired too. And then as soon as the sign came out, I showed up again, and he's like, "Dude, you're fucking." Excuse me. He's like, "Dude, no, I swear to God, his name's Gino. we sold his house. It was,
That's awesome.
yeah, it was awesome, but it was the whole process. It was just follow up. You know what I mean? Just consistent following up.
When
So
you
anyway,
when you
I
go,
hope that was helpful.
definitely 100%. And then when you do get the appointment, are you just doing your normal listing presentation usually, or is it a different presentation you're doing?
Yeah, it really depends, man, on
Okay.
on the context. I mean, if you said come on over and I'm interested, then I would do my normal listing presentation,
Okay.
right? But if I'm just going for more of a I'm going to
Plan B
do,
thing.
yeah, it's going to be more of a I'm going to talk to you about what your goals are, and we're going to dig deep on maybe some of the challenges. You know, one of the great questions is, you know, what are the advantages to the buyer, which I should have asked you in the call. I could have asked you, like, what are the
Yep.
advantages to the buyer of buying the house from you? Like, I'll ask you that question now. Like, what do you think are the advantages for a buyer of working directly with you?
Well, they don't have to worry about paying as much commission. That's, basically they get a little better deal because there's no listing agent.
Okay, so they're getting a better deal, like, because there's no listing agent. I thought you were
Well,
doing
yeah.
to save the commission.
Well, yeah, that too. So, I think we both get a little better of a deal from that.
Yeah. All right. So one of the concerns we see, Brad, is that most buyers, they just don't feel comfortable working directly with the seller. And frankly, they don't. I don't know if you knew this or not, but a buyer doesn't pay a commission to a real estate agent. You know, the buyers don't pay the commission. The commission comes from the sale of the house. So a buyer doesn't really care either way about the commission, you know? So,
Yeah.
so that's one of the reasons why a lot of buyers will choose to work with realtors. You know, so just the fact that you're not really open to working with realtors right now, you're probably cutting off 80% of the buyers to your house.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't know if that's an exact number. I know it's a pretty high number.
Yeah.
You know, so I mean, I don't know. Just you can have those types of conversations with the for sale by owner. But again, I think it goes back to what we talked about in the beginning. Is you have to be able to build some trust with them. They have to like you, and then once they like you, then you have to be able to build enough trust that they trust you are the person that can get the job done for them and get them what they want.
Yeah.
And what they in the reality, and we all know this. I mean, I'm guessing realtors are going to be watching this, but the majority of for sale by owners, if it doesn't sell, it's usually because it's overpriced anyway, right?
Yeah.
So, you know,
what's your go-to script on that when that happens?
When what happens?
So, like, say I say, all right, David, we're ready to list. Come on over. And say I was listed at, 600,000, and the house is really worth market value, say 550.
Yeah.
What's the conversation you have with them at that point?
Well, I'm going to figure out what's most important to them about selling. I mean, you really got to dig deep on their motivation, right? And ultimately find out why they're selling, and then it needs to be a pain and pleasure conversation, right? Mm-hmm. So it really comes down to, at this price, you got to, obviously you show up, you're going to give, I like to do what we call a range pricing.
Yeah.
So if they're so far out of the range, I probably wouldn't meet with them, to be honest with you. Mm-hmm. And I'll know that up front. So that's why, like, there's some like Zillow Make Me Moves that are just so far off that I just won't even meet with them.
Right.
So I don't know. And this is kind of an interesting, for me, I may not deal with that objection as much because I deal with it typically before I meet with the people. If that makes sense. Mm-hmm. So I would kind of have a conversation around, okay, great. So let's say, Brad, we do list it at 575. What happens in 30 days if we don't have any offers?
Right. Okay.
And then, so then get a price adjustment signed then, right? Or if they're motivated enough and they're motivated enough, then just get, a long enough contract so that you can get price adjustments because some people may need to see you working and get people in and get the feedback, and then you can continue just, and again, liking and trusting. If they trust you, you're gonna just continue bringing it. Listen, this is what happened this week. We had X amount of showings. This is the feedback. We did our brokers luncheon. This is the feedback. This is all, you know what I mean? And if they trust you, then they're gonna, if they're motivated, and that's gonna be the critical thing is if they're motivated. If they're not motivated, we're just wasting our time. But if they're motivated, they're gonna make price adjustments. So there's no template answer for that, man. I've taken overpriced listings that have, that I eventually got price reductions and they sold. Other people I was able to sit down with and, persuade them to list at the right price because, if they knew if they didn't, the house was just going to sit on the market and they couldn't achieve their goals.
Right. No, I only brought up that because I think it's happened to me before too, where, you go for the close and you say, oh, if I can actually net you more money, and then maybe you go to the house and it's in a worse condition than you thought, and you're like, oh shit, it's actually overpriced.
Yeah, so you just have to be honest, right?
Yeah.
And what you just said, a lot of realtors are going to get hung up on. They're going to say, oh, well, how do you net them the same amount of money? Because what they're asking is not what they're going to net typically, right? Just because somebody's asking 500, their house is, even if they sold it themselves, they'll probably sell, if it's worth 450, it's going to sell for 450.
Yeah.
Right. So what I'm doing is I want to go look at the house before I make any determinations. So I'm not misleading them. I'm not trying to bait and switch them or anything. I'm just trying to say, listen, I typically, because it's a fact, if you go to the NAR, National Association of Realtors statistics, it shows that realtors will net more than for sale by owners. It's proven. They do all the research. So just because if your house is worth 450, then with a professional real estate agent, you're going to get at least 450 or possibly 460 or a little bit more because of inventory being low. If you're a for sale by owner, you're probably going to get 435.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So just because you're asking 5, so I think everybody listening to this has to understand that. The point is the house hasn't sold yet. I'm not saying I'm going to get you more than your asking price, right?
Yeah.
It's about net. So the house hasn't sold yet. So I don't know what the net is. All I'm saying is that the statistics show that I can net you more because all the buyers are working with agents, because I have access to buyers, because buyers don't feel comfortable working with for sale by owners, because other agents don't feel comfortable working with for sale by owners, because it's a very emotional transaction. It's just, it's the way it is,
Yeah, that makes sense.
Awesome. Anyway, we can do another one of these if you want, man. I don't know if you.
I know I'm keeping it way too long here.
No, it's good. No,
no, I appreciate it.
It was fun. I've got a webinar coming up in 9 minutes that I got to get ready.
Oh, let's do it.
All right. So
awesome.
I'll talk to you later, brother. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, man. See ya.
Have a good one. I'll share this with you. Bye-bye.